I keep thinking, like I always read stuff on Twitter, like people like mad at Binance and they're tired of centralized exchanges and blah blah blah. And I'm like, how do you not know about THORChain? Like, and I just feel like one day it's going to click and it's just going to snowball,
Yeah.
and we're just going to get an
Yes.
avalanche of volume and users coming in, and everyone's going to be like, how did I not know about this sooner? Why wasn't I using this before? And so, like when I, wearing the marketing hat, in my mind, in my opinion, I think the biggest problem from like a user point of view is like people are just so used to using a SEX to trade Bitcoin and Ethereum on a centralized exchange. They're not looking for the alternative. They're just they're like, okay, well, this is the way I've had to do it. I've been doing this for 10 years now. I'll just keep doing it. And so it's like, how do we break into that and, wake those people up and kind of shake them up and like, hey, the solution you wanted 10 years ago, well, now it exists.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to get you over here. Right. And, because once people use THORChain and understand, they're like, well, this is obvious. Why didn't I know about this sooner? So, we're I'm trying to think of all the different ways to crack that nut to get those people's attention. And I feel like when they do, I mean, obviously we're not going to get everyone, but gosh, just get 1% of these people.
Yeah.
Maybe
Or early.
3 or 4 or 5%. Like it's just that'll make such a huge,
The irony to me is that like if you want to trade on a sex, it is overtly complicated and overtly time consuming. Like you've got to go to the website, you've got to like sign up with your information, you've got to get an email, you have to click the email to like verify your email, right? The back end of the system. Then you need to take a photo of your passport or your driver's license, front side and the back side. Then you got to send that in, and then you got to like take a little video of your face where you like look around in a circle like, to show that you're an actual person or whatever it is, and then you like finally been authorized. Now you're able to send your bitcoins into the system. Like that takes like how many blocks? Like 30 minutes, whatever it is. So now you wait another 30 minutes. Now you go back into the system and you have to like go do the trade, which takes 50 clicks of the mouse to like click here, the bitcoin to da, 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 and you finally do the trade. Then you have to wait for the trade to execute, which might take I don't know how much time. And then you have to say, oh, I finally did my trade, but now I have to withdraw. Oh, I have to withdraw. I have to do an email. Oh, let's go back to my email and confirm withdraw that I want to do. And go back into the system, and then I do that to withdraw. But the withdrawal takes about another 30 minutes for that to happen. Like the process of actually doing a trade from beginning to end is exorbitantly expensive and confusing, and just like the number of times you have to move and click your mouse is absurdity. Versus like something like in THORChain world where you just like you have a wallet and you just like trade. like that's the process. It's like a one-click process, pretty much, or at least a couple clicks or whatever, and it's clean, it's simple. You can watch the whole time. You get your money back without needing to step through so many processes and procedures. So it's like we have this advantage of simplicity and integration into like all of the systems that make it so clean and simple to do this trading. Where I think we fall in a matter of speaking as an industry as a whole is that like there's a natural instinct, especially for people who've not been in crypto for very long, to have a belief or a trust into centralized corporate entities that they will do well. At the very least, if something goes wrong, I can sue somebody. I can, there's like somebody I can talk to get my coins back or whatever. Like that kind of like trust that people have into like the traditional finance world, I think is a barrier for our industry in a matter of speaking. How we get past that, it's not something that we can specifically do. It's something that's like this humanity as a whole needs to grow beyond and get more comfortable and aware with DeFi systems like THORChain or Uniswap or anything out there that's conceptually pretty similar. That's just going to take time. But like because we see all this movement towards crypto, even in the last year with new legislation and gives more space and more regulation, and so that more companies can get into it. Like there's going to be an explosion over the next 3-4 years of the number of people who have crypto, either in a ETF thing where they don't even have a wallet, to ones who actually do have their own wallets. There's going to be an explosion of that, and as people get more comfortable and aware of all that stuff, and it doesn't seem so scary as it does now for a lot of people to hold a wallet with a mnemonic phrase or whatever. I think that it becomes much more instinctual and just kind of natural for people to use something like a THORChain for their kind of like finance needs. But it requires a slow growth over an industry that is slow growing, like finance, that is slow growing on its own. Like one of the funnier things that I hear people talk about is like how complicated wallets are and how what is a mnemonic phrase and what do I do with it and how do I back it up and what's these 12 words or like how do I do a transaction, how much gas, and people get confused by this stuff. But at the same time, I'm like kind of laughing because like, do you know how complicated the idea of a checking account is? Like we all take it for granted because we grew up with checking accounts. But like if you were in the days where that was like a new concept, wait, you're going to give me like a pad of paper and I can just like sign something on here and I have to like balance this checkbook. Oh, then we have this new thing called credit cards. Wait, so there's a plastic thing that I can swipe and it's got an interest rate on it that is some 18-25%, but then how do I pay it? Like there's so much complexity to the financial systems that we already use today, but everybody doesn't think about it that way because it's so just normalized, right? Like I do a transaction with my credit card and then it settles in like 3.5 days through 17 different like finance companies, or not 17, I'm exaggerating there, but like it's just like it's the most obscure, obtuse, ridiculous things that it's 2026 and we still have money that moves at the speed of like the telegraph, not even talking about the fucking Pony Express, right? Like we've had like the ability to have like money move at the speed of the internet since like the early 2000s, and we're like 25 years, a quarter of a century later, and we're still using the Pony Express to like do our financial stuff, which is so ridiculous to me when we can have like instant settlement with Bitcoin transactions or THORChain or whatever to do like purely transparent and clear finance that isn't butt fucking you on the other side. Look, we've seen Wells Fargo do that. We've seen so much fraudulent activity by these banks that they've been fined more money than the entire market cap of Ethereum. Like Chase and Wells Fargo and like all these characters do so much egregious things so commonly because nobody can ever get arrested. It's always just fines because you can't. It's that in itself is just like corrupt by design. But like we have this system that is so messed and it's been messed for so long, and we're just okay with it. Like we're just as a society, we're just like, yeah, that's okay. They steal billions of dollars from poor people all the time, or they like finance Jeffrey Epstein or something like this to do like massive like rings of like trafficking young girls. And we just kind of like we're like kind of okay with it as a society for some reason, and I don't understand it. But here we are as like the THORChain community saying like there's actually a cleaner, simpler, more transparent, more honest way of doing things where there is no corruption, right? There is no like ignorance or like just plain stupidity of people just running things into the ground in the way that we see TradFi systems. Like we have just math being executed exactly how it's supposed to be done every single block without any opportunity for things going awry from at least a mathematical perspective. And that's like truly amazing. And yet we're still here. We're still trying to argue like with people that come over from the sex world over the DEX world. And it's a learning curve, man. It's a learning curve that we're going to have to push people on for not just the next year, but the next 10 years. But it's a natural learning curve that everybody's going to be on, and are we evolving? The society as a whole will be evolving towards the DEX industry or the DeFi industry as a whole, as people get more comfortable and more relational and easier access to these DeFi systems that they don't even understand today.
Well said. Well said.